how good of a friend was Timberland to Aaliyah?
If it wasn't for Tony, oh.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning back in. I'm here with another video, and if you saw the title, I'm pretty sure some of y'all like, but there's a reason. Because the other day, I went on Twitter, of course, as usual. Most of these ideas come from Twitter and just the different discussions that come on Twitter, right? I saw Aaliyah and Timberland trending, like the #1 trends. And I'm like, okay. Actually, Timberland had did an interview where he was asked about R. Kelly and the whole situation with, oh, do you separate the artist from the music, or do you just, oh, that's their personal life, that's their personal life? And Timberland's response was basically, oh, he's the king of R&B, that's his personal life, we can't just vilify them and da-da-da-da. He made some great music,
R. Kelly's the king of R&B. We all know that, man. So we just gonna ignore his music that he gave us that we all jam to? No, we can't do that. As a culture, we have to learn how to separate that. Don't mix music up with personal. So don't bring drama into music. Leave that outside.
And a lot of people are like, for you to have been so close to Aaliyah, knowing the situation between her and R. Kelly, and for you to just be like, oh, that's his personal life, it is what it is, whatever, he's the king of R&B, it's like,
Wait a minute, hold up!
like, where do your morals lie? How much of a friend were you to Aaliyah? And that's when we have these tweets right here. First of all, congratulations are in order because Aaliyah got chosen to be inducted into the National R&B Hall of Fame. Congratulations, we did it. Aaliyah got the most votes from the fans, so congrats to us for putting her in that position. And there's going to be so much more for Aaliyah to come this year. But as far as these tweets, the first one I want to talk about says, the day people realize that Timberland was never Aaliyah's friend will be the day. And as you see, it has over 1.6 million views, and a whole bunch of people engaged with this tweet and discussed it, which is why it was trending at #1. Then another response to his interview said, I honestly don't want to see Timberland mentioning anything pertaining to Aaliyah anymore. He's done nothing but disrespect her and prove that he's a weirdo who shouldn't have had access to her. We can't separate that from his music because his songs are about minors. ... Just a food for thought. What are your thoughts on this? It's like, do y'all remember that interview he did back in the day where he confessed that he was actually in love with Aaliyah?
It's time for the world to hear this. I'm gonna give up a little secret. I was in love with her. I was fighting a big war. But I love Aaliyah. It's a baby, I'm old. I said to myself, I'm just gonna be her brother.
And not only that, he married his wife because she resembled Aaliyah.
When I first saw her, I said, that's the girl I'ma marry because she reminded me of Aaliyah.
One of the key factors in his attraction to his wife and marrying her is because she resembled Aaliyah. In his eyes, she resembled Aaliyah, so that was a major draw, that was a major attraction. And of course, because Aaliyah was 16, 17 at the time, and Timberland was well in his 20s, he didn't act upon it. Like he said, oh, she was a baby, I'm the older guy. The opposite of what R. Kelly did, right? But still, a lot of people are like, wow. And now it's one thing to think something, it's another thing to act on it. Two different situations. But obviously, he felt comfortable enough to confess this because it's just like, oh, that was the past, it is what it is. I thought it, I didn't act on it. But now, all these years later, the way he thinks and the way he has his mindset with the whole R. Kelly situation, after knowing and finding out everything, it kind of makes you wonder, like, how much of a friend were you to Aaliyah? And if y'all really knew, I talked about this in many different videos, before Aaliyah passed, her and Timberland weren't on the best of speaker terms.
The thing that really bothers me the most about the live with the death, we just got in an argument. And I never really got to say I'm sorry.
Her and Missy weren't really either, but her and Timberland really had a falling out. Him saying that, oh, we got to learn how to separate the personal from the talent. Like, okay, he did that in his personal life, but that don't go against those hit records. He made some hit records where it's kind of like you're complicit in it, like you're an enabler. Like, you can see him doing this, whatever. You could have witnessed it. You could have been in the studio with him doing whatever. But As long as you get a hit record, you don't care. That's the type of energy he was given.
Y'all are going to jail!
And him being one of Aaliyah's main collaborators, you know, the dream team, Aaliyah's baby girl and all of this, like you had this love for her. But in a way, you're saying that what happened with her and him before y'all met didn't matter. It was what it was. That's the past. That's his personal life. He's the king of R&B. Leave him alone. Basically the attitude he was having with this. And a lot of people had a problem, which is why he was trending #1 on Twitter. And a lot of people was really digging deep into like that relationship or work relationship they had. And it was kind of like, some people are starting to realize that maybe Timberland didn't have Aaliyah's best interests at heart. Maybe it was just like a work relationship. You know, some work relationships, some co-workers you get a little bit closer to than others, right? They made history together, they made hits together. But as far as like having her back, you kind of telling people to, oh, forget about that. Forget about what he did. Forget about the survivor R. Kelly. And now, it's one thing what people knew back then, the situation with Aaliyah and the marriage certificate and everything like that, and how they was too close and everything like that, right? But, and how he even mentioned her in some of his songs when she was 12 years old, right? But when the documentary came out, that's when people knew how deep this really went. That's when people really knew how much of a monster he really was. Like, this wasn't just no la 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 la. Like, this went deep, and it's multiple, up to like the hundreds of women and teenagers this happened with. And if you really break it down, like that tweet said, you really look at it, most of these love songs, the inspiration came from a young woman who were minors, like Aaliyah.
Oh my God.
So for you to just be like, oh, that's his personal life, forget about it, all this great music, you think about the inspiration from the music, it really makes you be like, how could you sit and just listen to this and enjoy this the same way when you know the implications behind this music? You know what I'm saying? Like, the thought of just listening to Your Body's Calling and Bump and Grind and all those different songs, when you know at the time period what could have went behind the scenes when he was writing this or producing it, you can't look at, I can't look at it the same. I can't listen to it the same. Can y'all? What is y'all take on that? Like with the whole R. Kelly situation, do y'all listen to his music the same, or can you just be like, oh, a hit is a hit, it is what it is, I love the song, I love the production, I love his vocals, he did whatever back in the 90s, in the early 2000s, but I still love the song. What is y'all take on that? For me, personally, there's a few times when I have my Spotify on shuffle, you know, the R&B mixes, his songs will come on the shuffle, and I'll listen to like the first 10 seconds of it, and I just change it. I'll switch it, I'll skip it, because I'm just like, it doesn't hit the same, you know, it just doesn't hit the same. Knowing everything and watching all those, I watched all parts of the documentary. It was on Lifetime, now it's on Netflix. I watched all parts, and just listening to the music, knowing everything that happened, I personally cannot listen to his music the same way, especially like those love songs, even like the inspirational I Believe I Could Fly. It's just like, I remember I had to sing that song for my kindergarten graduation, but it's just like knowing everything that happened with him, I just can't listen to him the same way. Now maybe other people have a different opinion, like Timberland, but for me personally, I can't do it.
Could somebody please make it make sense?
And getting back into him marrying his wife because she resembled Aaliyah, as he said at his own mouth, we're not making it up. It makes you wonder, it's like, wow, back then you knew you were too old for Aaliyah. Aaliyah was too young. So years later, you in a way still lived out your fantasy by marrying a woman who resembled her. Because you couldn't do it back then, you still held on to that. You still held on to those thoughts that you never acted upon because of obvious reasons, right? He thought it, but he wasn't so eager to act on it. And you decided just to have like a work relationship with her. It might have spilled over into like a friendship or whatever it was called or whatever it was. But in that interview, you can still tell, like, he was like, oh, it's time for the world to hear this. Like, you still thought about it. He still held on to those thoughts for all those years. Even to where when he saw this woman that resembled her, that was his way of living out that fantasy of marrying a woman who looked like her, because he couldn't get with her back then.
Hold up, wait. Oh my God, hold up.
Back then, you had a crush on her. You liked her in a way that you felt like, you know, you shouldn't have because she was too young for you. And nowadays, you saying, oh, forget what R. Kelly did, separate that from the music, da-da-da-da. Like, you're complicit in it. Like, you would have been one of his enablers. You could have saw something in the studio and could have brushed it off because y'all was in the middle of making a hit. It's kind of like, and then you knowing you was supposed to be friends with Aaliyah, you're supposed to have her back, you know, baby girl this, baby girl that, like I always say. But then you're kind of like, okay, he did what he did. Whatever happened with them, happened with them. I mean, I had a crush on her too. Like, it's very strange.
Down like that, okay?
This is just a quick edit. The dynamic between Aaliyah and Timberland. How much do you think they were really friends versus co-workers? Because you know how people get that construed, people get that mixed up, where co-workers, right? Even think about it personally for you. Some co-workers, like I said earlier, you're more friendlier with. But are y'all really friends like that? When it's not nothing to do with work, outside of work, how much do y'all talk and interact and hang out? When Timberland and Missy and Aaliyah weren't making music together and going to award shows together, how much did they really hang out? Like her and Kadada, for example, you know? So it's kind of makes you put things into perspective, like, were they really friends like that? Or were they just co-workers that made hits together?
Nothing more, nothing less.
With this, I just wanted to know y'all take on this. Do you think Timberland was really Aaliyah's true friend? Do you think he really had her best interests at heart? All these years later, finding out all these different things, from him having a crush on her, marrying his wife who resembled her, to him knowing what happened between her and R. Kelly, right? And you're just like, it is what it is. He made some great music. Oh well. Like, what did y'all take on that? And a question besides that, with all these different things that come out with artists in their personal life, does that affect how you listen to their music, or you just don't care? A good song is a good song. A great hit is a great hit. You don't care about what they did personally. Even if there's a correlation between the type of music they make and the things that come out about their personal life, does that affect the way you listen to music, or a hit is a hit? A good song is a good song. What is your take on that?
Wow, that's a great question.
And you could tell at the time, and even now, how Timberland talks, like he kind of gets big-headed, or he felt like he made her. Her biggest hits were because of him. He produced them. But honestly, if you really look at it, if you're a real fan of Aaliyah, personally for me, I feel like her true soulmate when it came to music, her true music partner was Static Major. If you know about Static Major, then you know, like, that last album, her last album, self-titled, that was her true music partner. Like, they made some great music together. Timberland, he produced like some of her biggest hits, but as far as like true musicianship, like a true connection when it came to music and like making music, producing music for her, writing music for her, I feel like that was Static Major. And if something's really off, I feel like more is going to come out as the months and years go on. Please let me know your thoughts down below. I can't wait to get this discussion started with y'all. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see y'all in the next video.